Welcome to another edition of Beyond Game Day podcast. And let's get straight into it. What a week, Morena. What a week. I think the first place I'm going to go to, we have to go to those tours. I think it brought a lot of smiles to a lot of football-loving fans on the African continent. CAF Sanctions Senegal and Morocco for what happened in that Afcon final.
Yeah.
I heard you earlier talking about the amount of money that was that they got slapped with, their fines, and you said that Sadio Mane can pay for the fine
by himself, all by himself. That's how much money he's making in Saudi Arabia. And if it's not him, Edouard Mendy can do it. Yeah. If not Edouard Mendy, any of the players that are playing for Senegal can do it because, and it's not to disrespect the sanctions from CAF, to say that maybe you should have given them more, or maybe it's like, why did you bother? But it's basically to say that they just needed a voice. The rest of the continent, particularly North Africa, was wanting CAF to say something. And when we say something, just like how North African clubs and nations will bully the referee, it was really a bullying tactic to say something. And to be honest with you, this is what you should say. Here's your script. And CAF was like, no. We acknowledge that how it played out was not how it was supposed to play out. So we will punish those that need to be punished. The coach, the federation. The federation must always bear the brunt of what its country does. But I think it was fair sanctions. $615,000 in total of how much was put out. The head coach because he gave the instruction. Papetio, he was the man that got slapped with 5 CAF match suspension.
Yeah.
So Senegalese are not going to sweat it much because there is no Afcon coming later. We've got Afcon qualifiers perhaps for the East African Afcon that's coming up in 2027. But we've also got the World Cup. Yeah. And the head coach will be in the dugout for the World Cup. Yeah, these are CAF suspensions. So the most important thing, which is what Morocco was hoping for, is you need to strip them of the title and give it to us.
They were ambitious when it came to that.
That they didn't get.
Because they lost on the field.
Yeah, they did.
And I think, Morena, it says something. First of all, the CAF acted the way in which they did. They also slapped some sanctions on
Morocco.
The Moroccan players. But I think it's justice in the day. What happened on the field of play was justice. I think a lot of African-loving football fans looked at it and said, the bullying needs to stop when it comes from the North African teams. It's really got to stop. And I think they got exposed. Morocco got exposed for these bully tactics. It showed. I mean, the fans, the ball boys, some of their players.
Yeah.
So hopefully we've seen the end of this now.
Because I think it's been so entrenched in North African football culture for them to do this. CAF has witnessed for decades the lasers in the opponent's eyes. CAF has witnessed the flares in the stadia. CAF has witnessed all of this. UEFA witnesses the blatant racism from your Eastern Bloc countries, right? And your Italies, for example, and even your Spains. They witness the flares. They witness the violence in the state. These mother bodies witness this, and the most they will do is slap the federation with this much of a fine. The fans don't feel anything unless you pick out a fan in 4K and you say you're banned for life.
Yeah,
it's like, okay, whatever. I'll still catch the player on the street. I'll catch them in a bar somewhere. Yeah. So it's so deeply rooted in Morocco, in Tunisia, in Egypt, in Algeria, for them to do this to every other country lower on the continent to them, that I don't think it'll stop. It may not be as brazen as it was with an Ashraf Hakimi, who's the captain, with the ball boys doing what they did, literally as brazenly as they did, but it will continue. It will continue. The CAF Champions League is still going to take place with the knockout stages. Mamelodi Sundowns will most likely go further, as they always do. We're going to see this happening to Mamelodi Sundowns. We will see this happening to Kaizer Chiefs in the Confed Cup. We will see this happening. We will see this happening to nations that are further lower than in the equator.
So then play behind closed doors.
You lose money. Vata. You lose money. And one thing that...
but still, Morena, I think losing money can never supersede the going after people's dignity, human beings' dignity.
Absolutely.
And the blatant racism. I think it's got to come... You've got to be harsh. and it will hit CAF in the pocket.
Yeah.
But in the long run, it will eradicate those ugly scenes we saw.
One can only hope, but I suppose maybe before we even get to playing behind closed doors, stop awarding these premium competitions to the North African nations. You want to sanction them? You want to punish them for real? Don't give them these. Do what former Sports Minister Fikile Mbalula did, when he was whipping all the federations in this country, when he was looking for transformation. You will not host a tournament for as long as I'm still the head of your sector, your portfolio. Until you transform. So for as long as he's still the president of for the Confederation of African Football, you will not host a tournament. Morocco has been sitting with almost an evergreen, contract with CAF to be hosting every other tournament. If it's not the World Cup, if it's not the CAF competitions, Morocco knows that they've locked it in. Afcon is also going there again in March. They've locked it in. So they feel like we can do whatever we want because we've got the necessary people in our corner. Cut that cord and you will watch North Africa change. But for now, like Senegal did, like Nigeria did, upset them on the field. Rattle them on the field. Nigeria, bronze medalists over Egypt. You've got Senegal, who are the champions of Africa. So North Africa, for yet another year, yet another decade, have not won.
And that's good. Let's talk about something much, much, much happier. Let's come back home. The URC, Morena.
Oh.
Stormers losing at home to the Sharks last week. Their first loss of the season. And JP Peterson is doing something special with the Sharks team that we all know is
supposed to be doing what it's doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And again, they meet again this coming weekend, but in Durban. What's the outcome of that game?
I genuinely think that the Stormers will respond.
They'll bounce back.
I think the Stormers will respond. For the Stormers, it's not about getting their lick back more than it is about keeping the consistency of where they are. You look at the Champions Trophy. That's still coming up in April. They've booked their place in the knockout
playoffs,
stages. So for them, it's about continuing that momentum. You are finding yourself in the pound seat as the Stormers. You are doing what you haven't done since 2022. So continue that momentum. And more than anything, for the likes of Sasha van der Gumgumezulu, Mani Libok, and all the other Springboks in that Stormers team, Damian Willemse and them, this is a defining year. We're doing things differently this time. Our very first test for the Springboks is against England, right? We've got the greatest rivalry tour happening as well. Rugby is doing things differently than what it does traditionally in the year. So for a lot of our Springbok players, the Sharks players, a lot of them, it's not a guarantee for them in a Bok team, but for some of them it is. For the Stormers, on the other hand, Sasha van der Gumgumezulu wants to be the number 110. So this is the year for him to prove it with the Stormers. And for Dobbo, he's done so great with the Stormers from, building them up from where they were, going through those rocky patches with them to where they are today. So it's a defining season for the Stormers. They will know that if they win nothing this year, it's a huge failure. No matter how they got to perhaps the finals. But if they don't walk away with something between the URC or the Champions Trophy, this is an incredibly huge failure for them. So I think this coming weekend in the Shark Tank, I genuinely think the Stormers will respond, but the Sharks are not going to make it easy because they've tasted blood. Oh, they've tasted blood. And
there'll be a lot of bad blood at Ellis Park.
Yeah, they will.
Johan Ackerman goes back to a place where he did some good things with the Lions, but he goes back now as Bulls coach. I think that this Yakskei River Derby has got a lot. And dare I say that it could be even better than what's going to happen in Durban. There's a lot. The Bulls they're saying they've turned the corner after a hotter start to the competition itself. Suffered some heavy losses in the Champions Cup as well. Do you think Ackerman and his team can do it at Ellis Park?
I don't know. The Lions have been pretty impressive across both competitions, the EPCR Challenge and the URC. They haven't hit, their finest note. They haven't played to their greatest potential, but they've taken the Stormers and the Sharks, for example. They've given them a run for their money in the derbies that we've seen. And of course, with the European teams, they've really showed up, Still my favorite player right now, one of my favorite forwards, of the last, give or take 6 to 9 months, Nasreddine Nabi. For me, it's those are the kinds of players who the end goal is to play for the Boks, but the goal right now is to play all out with all your heart for your franchise. And that's what the Lions has. Those kinds of players who literally put their blood, sweat, and tears into making sure that the Lions succeed. You know, about that talent that comes out of the under-20s. I mean, what the Lions have at their disposal, once it comes together properly, Vata, once it and I think we'll start really seeing the fruits of what the Lions have been putting in next season. But if you can see just the green shoots now, which I think we are.
And there was a green shoot at Loftus.
Exactly.
When they shocked the Bulls there.
So I genuinely feel, you know, Johan Ackerman is a great coach, you know, one that I think most, if not all South Africans love, no matter which franchise you support. But yeah, he's going to find the going tough at his former home. He's going to find the going tough at his former home. All these teams are locking down now. We've played 9 rounds of matches. It's about solidifying your place in the playoffs, you know, and it's not just the South African franchises that South African franchises must worry about. It's also Europe, because they too are starting to feel that heat from South Africa to say, we're now playing catch up behind the Stormers. The Sharks are now trying to turn the corner. You get a Siyakolise, for example, who wants to leave a good legacy at the Sharks, albeit however brief he may have been there. So a lot of the guys are putting their hands up to say, it's time now. So with the Lions, I think they're there or thereabout. Look, they're not going to go win the tournament or maybe even make it into the semis or final, but they're an exciting prospect for the future.
No, good. And talking about exciting prospects, the Proteas are going to the World Cup, T20 World Cup. They've just wrapped up the series, T20 series against the Windies.
Yeah.
It looks good from the outside, but there's a little thing happening in there.
There is.
That has, it's just put it's a downer, man. It's like a wet towel.
Yeah.
On the rise of the Proteas and how well they've played, winning the World Test Championship, beating India in the Test series, and just the way they've gone about their cricket. And we were seeing some wonderful green shoots when you speak about white ball cricket.
Yeah.
And then Shukri announces his squad to go to the World Cup. No Tristan Stubbs, no Ryan Rickleton, no Ordinal Patman.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, and then Ordinal goes and does what he did at the SA20, picks up the most wickets, 20, I think.
Yeah, 20.
And
Stubbs,
a hat-trick as well.
Stubbs goes and wins the tournament.
Goes and wins the tournament. Fortunately, they've come in because of Tony Tizosi and Donovan Ferreira's injury. Yeah. So Tristan Stubbs is back in the team, and so is Ryan Rickleton. But Ordinal Patman then does what he does on the field and then says, no one spoke to me.
Yeah.
And then the convener of selectors comes back and says, Patrick Moroni, but we did speak to him on his possible omission from the World Cup squad. Morena, what's going on there?
And I say this because there's been so much commentary, especially coming from legends. For example, Adele Steyn, who says it's befuddling that Ordinal Patman is not there. But it's easy to say that now when he's got 20 scalps in the SA20. The squad was supposed to have been announced at the start of January. SA20 ended towards the end of January. If Patrick and the rest of the selectors, as well as the head coach, had a crystal ball in which to look and see, you can't work on past results. It's not to say Ordinal Patman was bad last year. He wasn't. But that then speaks to the depth of talent that we have in the Proteas.
Exactly.
Right? So you need to then look at it and say, I've got 10 fingers. I can only go into a World Cup with 7. Which 3 fingers do I chop off? How can I use my hands effectively with 3 fingers less? And unfortunately, Ordinal Patman was one of those fingers. It's unfortunate because of what we've seen of him consistently, but we do have a Gwena Maphaka.
Pretorius is not in the team.
Pretorius is not in the team as well.
And I mean, he's one hell of a prospect.
Exactly.
We've seen what he bludgeons the ball. That kid is just something special. And for him not to be in the squad as well, again, speaks to the riches that Unanduka Ushukri has.
Yeah.
You know, so, yeah.
What I would like to know is how much input the head coach had, or rather how much influence he had. With whom does the buck stop? Because one thing Shukri Conrad has proven to be is somebody that has got a voice that lands when he speaks. He knows cricket better than the convener of selectors. So although your job is to do the selection, right? Because that's what you're paid for. But I'm the coach. I know what I need to get out of these players to get the result I need, which is one step better than what we did in 2024. So I would like to know, and I'd like to hear from him as well, hopefully with the departure press conference when they go to the subcontinent, is what did you say regarding Othniel Bartman? Did you want him? And they maybe just felt like, how about you go this way?
Yeah.
You know, because it's fine for opinions to differ, but did you put Othniel Bartman there among your leaders in the attack? Or was he one of those guys that you'll use him when you need him?
Yeah.
You know, and I think maybe just to make sure to put it out there clearly, what also Patrick did say, the convener of selectors, is he's not completely out in the cold.
Yeah.
Things happen in sport.
Yeah.
And God forbid, touch wood, things were to happen to any of our bowlers, Othniel Bartman's name is right top of the list. Yeah. Just like Tristan Stubbs and Ryan Rickleton's were for the batters.
Exactly.
So if we need a bowler, we know where to go.
He mustn't.
So
Othniel mustn't. I think Othniel must just keep quiet.
You reckon?
I think he must keep quiet. I know it's painful and so on.
Yeah.
But at some point, I think Morena players need to understand why things are done. Why they get omitted. You know? It's not personal.
Yeah.
It's business. And there's a business of South Africa needing to win a World Cup that needs to be done.
Yeah.
And if Shukri and the convener of selectors believe that the squad they've selected is the best that can go win a World Cup, I think, yes, it's going to hurt. It's going to be painful. But you look at how the Springboks do it, right? And how other teams do it. And you say to yourself, let's follow the Springbok route. Yeah. Where it says, yes, you're not in the team, but do your best to help prepare the guys in the team to be able to go and win. Because when you win, it's not the individual that's ahead of you. It is a team that wins.
Share with Gwena Mapaka as Othniel Bartman what you did to claim 20 scalps and be the purple cap wearer. Tell the youngster what he needs to do on the subcontinent.
100%.
Where on debut, in the subcontinent, in franchise cricket, in T20 cricket, in the most lucrative T20 competition in the world, he got bludgeoned all over the place to a point where there was already doubts from some legends that,
was it not too early?
Yeah, was it not too early? Are these shoes not a little too big?
And the boy came back.
So advise, Othniel, advise, this is how and what you do. But I appreciated the explanation as to why it is he was not selected. Yeah. Lungingiti has the experience on the highest stage, and he's a man that knows how to show up when Kagiso Rabada is unable to. Right?
Death bowling T20.
So now you're bowling the same style, you're hitting the same lengths, you're bowling the same pace. You're literally the same person. Who do I choose? I choose my most experienced and my deadliest in death bowling in T20 cricket. That's Lungsa.
And someone who's used to the pitches in India.
Exactly.
So he plays IPL cricket. So
the beautiful thing about South African cricket as it stands right now is we are on an upward trajectory, and that trajectory is continuing to go up with a World Cup that's going to be hosted at home. Othniel Bartman needs to settle down, take the lessons from his successes in the short format of the game, and apply them to his game to put his hand up for the World Cup.
Yeah.
You know, it's unfortunate that he didn't make it. And it's unfortunate that we are now having to have a war of words, you know, between himself and the convener of selectors. But I also maybe applaud the convener for coming out and just trying to clarify certain things and say, this is why we did what we did. And we are hoping that he understands it. Our door is always open for him to come and talk to us, for us to help him understand it. And the rest of you who believe that he should have been there. But yeah, I think we need to have a lot less of that.
Yeah.
Players going out there and outwardly expressing themselves. Nobody's saying that you mustn't feel pissed off and upset.
Yeah.
Nobody's saying that. But somebody is saying that there's a culture in South African sport, particularly your rugbies and cricket and footballs, where there's a channel where you can, you know, show and express how you're feeling. But I hope Othniel doesn't feel like, South African cricket is now, you know,
they're throwing
me to the wolves, you know. We've seen it happen with a number of incredibly talented players. Your Kyle Abbotts, your Riley Rousseaus, you know, they turned their back.
Heinrich Klaassen,
you know. You had a Quinton de Kock who turned his back on his country and was like, actually, what? Wait, I'm not done yet. And they came back.
And look what he's doing now.
Exactly. So don't let the disappointment, you know, don't let a temporary occurrence become a permanent, decision. Yeah. And I'm hoping Othniel does come back because, wow, he just proves the depth of talent that this country has.
He's a special player.
Yeah.
He's a special player. Morena, thank you. Hopefully when the Proteas go over to India, they do the job. They just go over the line this time around. Not what we saw in the USA. Painful against India in that final. Hopefully, I would love to play India in the final. And I want them to win. I am desperate for the Proteas to win. Yes, they won the World Test Championship last year, but this one, they've got to win a World Cup.
Yeah.
They've got to win a World Cup, especially now that we're hosting one next year. So hopefully, our man Makram and his boys will do it. I'm just praying for a calmer week next week.
Oh, there's no such.
Off the sporting field.
No.
On the field itself. But hey, Morena, it's enough now.
There are selections that are still coming up for Banyana. There are selections that are still coming up for Bafana. There's a lot that's going to be happening on and off the field. We've got Live Golfs coming up as well here. Listen, buckle up and buckle up tight.
There you have it. Buckle up and buckle up tight. Buckle up for the action on the field. And as Morena says, even off the field as well. Thank you for joining us on Beyond Game Day. Catch up next time.